Blooming Cactus with a Monarch Butterfly Acrylic Painting Tutorial by HotPinkZebraPaper.
Hi guys, in today's video I am going to be showing you a very simple, very pretty little cactus painting that's got a terracotta pot with a cute short little cactus that's blooming and then a monarch butterfly, and the bloom on the cactus matches the monarch butterfly as far as all the color tones go, so it's very balanced, I guess you could say. It's just a very simple painting, not something that's necessarily going to make you think in depth about anything, but it's just kind of one of those fun little projects that I hope you guys enjoy. I really love painting it, so don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well.
I'm going to begin by filling in my background with a really pretty minty shade of green. So I'm just going to coat the entire thing. I already have my design, my painting sketched out on my canvas I used a number 2 or a 2B graphite pencil to do that on my canvas, and so I'm just going through and adding that background layer. Once I start working around the base of my little terracotta pot, I'm going to add some shading by blending in some darker gray or black, whichever you like, just around the base of that little pot so that you have a shadow going for you. And then using a terracotta type of orangey brown color, I'm going to fill in my flower pot with a layer of that just as a base layer to base it out. And after I have that base layer down, I'm going to go through and I'm going to start highlighting and shadowing my flower pot. So I'm going to use a cream color for my highlights instead of going straight with white. And then for my lowlights, I used black and dark brown for that. So then I'm just going to continue highlighting those, and I started around the brim of the pot and kind of inside, like down in around the cactus on the one side, and I'm going to continue that going around like a little circle around my cactus and then tucking it in on the other side. So just fill in it there, like so, and then I'm going to be adding all of the little shadowing and the details on the basin of the pot. And as you're doing this, something kind of interesting with a terracotta pot is it's awfully smooth, which is different than a lot of things where after I'd add this far in my painting, then I'd go through and I'd add some texture to it. With a little terracotta pot, there is no texture, so you can just continue on with your life. And I'm going to start filling in my cactus, and I used green, blue, teal, white, and black. The great thing with cacti is that there are so many variants in color for them. There are some cactuses that have a really pretty mauve hue to them, or some that have like some scarlety red type colors on them. This one I went with that has a little bit of blue on it. So with that, you don't just necessarily want to grab your green paint and paint it out in green and call it good, because there are so many options that you can add with it, and so many different amazing succulents that you could paint in replacement of the little cactus in this particular painting, that you could definitely have some freedom and some fun with it. So my cactus is shaded pretty heavily. He's heavily lit on the one side, but the lighting kind of wraps around it. It is surround lighting, so don't just have your very dramatic one side direct lighting on there. Add some different, but it gives it a little bit different color, because the light will pick up that blue coloring in your cactus more than some of the other colors, so that one side where it's highlighted more really will have a bit more of that aqua coloring in it. So now, taking some diluted green or white paint, I'm going to be adding little dots all over my cactus for some texture to it. Like I said with the terracotta pie, you're not just done with the cactus. You get to add some texture to it, which is something that just adds a little bit of subtlety to it, but it makes it look so much more realistic, is to add those little tiny dots just to give it some more color. Then with a cream color and then kind of a mustard color paint, I'm going to be adding the little bases for all of my needles on my cactus. So I just added those on all of the ridges. And then I'm going to take a very narrow brush, a very fine striping brush, and I'm going to be adding the needles themselves. So I'm starting out with the needles that are pointing directly at the camera, and then I'm going to work on the ones that are pointing off to the side a little bit, kind of working my way back. And on the needles that are in the light more, so the ones that are on the left side of my cactus, I'm going to be using more of that cream color, and then as they're going farther to the left, I'm going to be incorporating more and more of that mustard tone. And after I have all of that, obviously there's going to be some shadows on my needles. I use some brown to do that. So just add all of your little needles, and they don't show up super great against my pale green background, but you do still see them, and they do still, it looks nicely realistic when you have it there. So then add little shadows here and there on all of your needles with that darker shade of brown. It's more of like a medium chocolate brown, milk chocolate brown. But add a little bit of shadowing here and there, not anything too crazy, but just little touches of it to make those needles really stand out. You can also add some white highlights on the ones that are in the brighter section if you'd like. I did not. I didn't think it really would have added anything, but if, depending on your background color or the shade of cream that you're using, that might be something you want to do. So now for my flower, I'm going to be using all different sorts of reds and oranges. So I have like a really bright classic cherry red, and then some yellow and some orange, and then some burgundy. And I'm going to be painting my petals. And a flower and a cactus, they almost look artificial. They really do. If you look at the pictures of them, they look really waxy, and they don't look like they're very delicate. They look very durable and sturdy. And so when you're painting your flower, it almost ends up looking artificial as well. And you don't necessarily need to make the petals ruffly or anything like that. Just make them nice and direct, I guess is a good way to put it. And add all of them. Add the little stamens in the center. Just like so. Keep working on it. Bring your petals around the front of your flower. And the reason I went with this color combination is because I knew I was going to do a monarch butterfly next to my cactus, and I wanted the colors of the butterfly to be pretty much the same colors in the flower, so it looked like the butterfly was just made to be sitting there. And it balanced out really well. And when I showed Terrell, my husband, this painting after it was finished, and he looked at it and he goes, "How did you come up with to put a monarch with a cactus?" And I looked at him kind of like, what do you mean? How did I come up with it? He goes, "Well, I never would have thought to put a monarch butterfly with a cactus. Those things just don't seem like they are an automatic thing in your head." And honestly, I have no idea where this concept came from. And that's the same thing with all of my paintings. I know the first video I have on this channel that I did 3 or 4 years ago. No, of course, I can't even remember, but it's an older painting of mine that was frogs in a martini glass, and that's definitely not something you normally would see together, is frogs hanging out in martini glass. But these are just the things that my brain comes up with in the middle of the night, and yeah, they work for me. But anyways, off topic, but finish off your flower, and then I'm going to start working on my butterfly. And the monarch butterflies, you get the joy of having 3 perspectives of the wings. You get the back, a little bit of the back of one wing, you get, like the outside of the wing, and then you get the inside of the upper and the lower wing on the other side. And when you're doing this, use the same colors like I mentioned from your flower. So a little bit redder on that farther wing away from you, more like the classic bright orange monarch that you think of in your head. And then on that lower wing, it's not quite as intense of a color, so bring more of that cream color into it. Add your outlines of your different wing sections with black paint. I would highly recommend, especially if you're going for a specific species of butterfly or moth or whatever you're using, to get plenty of photos, because especially for a monarch that is so distinct and iconic, you want to make sure that you kind of follow the rules for how their body works and how their wings look and all of that. So definitely make sure you have decent reference photos for this so that you can really get them to look how a monarch would look. So after you have all of that black done, I also did the black for the body and the legs and the antenna. Then I'm going to go through and add little white spots within the thicker black lines of the wings, going down and around just like that. And that really shows off. And then add the white spots on the body of your little monarch. And then take some of your colors, like I add a little bit more yellow to some of the wings and a little bit more orange here and there, and just some shadows going around the different wing sections, and just keep adding stuff and a little bit of a shadow on the terracotta pot underneath the butterfly. And that is it. I love this painting. I think it's so cute and just kind of like a happy-go-lucky feeling to it. I hope you guys like it as much as I do. Thank you so much for watching. Check out my Facebook and Instagram for more art, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!